Welcome here. If you can hear me and you can see me, do let me know, please. Give a thumbs up if you can hear me. Thumbs up, please. And if you can see me and hear me, give a thumbs up. Thank you. If you can hear me, do let me know. Thank you, my cheerleader. Thank you very much. Welcome on board. I'm sorry we've been away for a very long time. It's been tough around. I had very bad sore throats and I'm still recovering. And besides, there were so many things going on around that period of time. Please let me put on the second light so that you can see me very well. Yeah, welcome back here. This one that we want to consider today is a major part of our examination. It's major because we are going to take writing task as well as all the other modules, and writing task are two: task 1, task 2. Task 1 for academic guys will be like Dr. Dada has been explaining to us. We'll be dealing with graphs, we'll be dealing with processes, diagrams, just name it. You'll be dealing with all those ones in task 1 as an academic candidate. But for, thank you, Auntie Tio. But for someone who's taking general module, which Dr. Agbelioba will be handling at some point, they will be writing letters. So it's much easier for some people to think general module task 1 is easier than the academic one. But after that, which that's just for 20 minutes, after you've had that, taken that test, then you have to write your task 2, which is 40 minutes. It takes you 40 minutes to do your task 2. And it's about 66 point something percent of whatsoever the scores will be. So it's close to, or it's double, not just close to, it's double the score of your task 1. Don't rob Peter to pay Paul. Like, don't stay on task 1 alone without looking at task 2, and don't try to cheat or play smart with this, because these guys have done their research works, they've done their studies, they know that you must actually spend at least this time that they've suggested to you in this examination. So it will be like shooting oneself on the thigh. If someone now sits on task 1 and starts checking up and start writing and start erasing and start cancelling what they've written, and they are taking 5 minutes, 6 minutes out of task 2 essay time, honestly, it's not going to be very helpful for that person. I really don't know how quick or how fast that person will be, that they will be able to bridge up that period that they have spilled into the time for task 2. So it's very, very important that we start laying our hands on essays, that we start practicing, so that by that day it will be an easy ride. If your exam is this month, please do reach to any one of us with your evidence. If it is not 2 months, yeah, it could be fine. We may be able to stretch things further. So 40 minutes I said, and you will be scored at least 66%. I know it's something 66.33 or something percent or something like that, because the sum of the two tests will give you 100%. Then they will find the average and then they will score you whatsoever band you have. And you know, in this academy, we are not playing with anything that is less than band 7. we aren't wishing anyone to actually score 6.5. If you are targeting UK, Malta, maybe Ireland, you may have 6.5 in writing, especially for Ireland, if you are able to at least have 7.7 in the remaining free modules. But then it's better to aim at the moon, such that if the person misses the moon, you still land amidst the stars. So don't let your target actually be the stars, because after the stars is like the responding or respecting the law of gravity at that particular point in time. So in this, you must ensure that you do not write less than 250 words. If you do, you will be penalized. If you write less than 250 words, there's every possibility that you will be penalized. And the penalty will be heavy on people with respect to their capability. For someone who is very, very good, sound, and their structure, their grammatical range and accuracies, their vocabularies, and a few other things are intact, such that maybe they are able to score 888, they may be able to escape not getting enough numbers written. And do know that no matter what you write, they will be counted. They will definitely count what you've written. So as small as A, if you write A, I, in, on, they will be counted. So it's much, there used to be a way I used to tell people to do their things at some point. We get to that place to help them to increase their word counts quickly. But while you are doing that, you must make sure that what you are doing is actually strong to still around the 60, because I know word count is a big deal under examination condition. So ensure that you practice now, such that you are writing 250 to 280 words. We do advise, counsel our candidates to kindly write between 250 and 280 words, not writing up to 300. There are people who can write 300 and they will be very fine if they are very, very good with English. But if you are an average 6.5 to 7, or if you're an average, no 6.5 candidate here yet, we don't need one. We are not brewing ourselves for that level. So if someone is an easy band 7 candidate, they need to frequently put on their effort till the examination time so that they can sustain that. I did that in one of my, I think maybe 2 of my modules, when I knew that no matter how I stretched, I wasn't getting beyond between 32 and 34. So I just strengthened my effort, especially on reading on that level. I made sure that I kept practicing and I wasn't getting anything less. So if that is you, when you are writing your essay and you are sure that whoever is assessing you is skillful and they are telling you that you are scoring 7, ensure that you persist on that, such that you will not have reasons to drop band to 5 to 6.5 or whatsoever. So you must know that, like I mentioned, every letter that you've written, every word that you've written, and you know A is a word in English, I is a word, an is a word, is a word, on is a word, in is a, and they are words, they will be counted for you. So if you now go and write hippopotamus, Mississippi, which is much longer, and they are taking your time, and you don't use words that you can come by with so much ease, they will be counted. You are taking the time. I'm not saying you should write baby English if you are speedy, and if you have your tips at your fingertips, then it will be very easy for you to pull everything together and everything will match in very well. So you must ensure that your words count are appropriate and accurate. You'll be weighed on like speaking module, grammatical range and accuracies. I will speak in-depthly, or I will speak at long level on grammatical range and accuracies. I know Dr. Agbele Oba will do justice to that, but starting from tomorrow, I'm going to do much work with us on grammatical range and accuracies, because you will be weighed on two things there. You have the range and you have the accuracies. So one must not suffer while the other is optimal. You must know how to balance the two. You must ensure this. If you don't put good effort into grammatical range and accuracy, let's even good say your vocabulary is superb, your coherence and cohesion are fine, and your task achievement too are brilliant, the person may not score as beautifully as they should, because actually everything you will be writing must follow the rules of grammar. So it is important. Maybe someone will go to the house and shout out Dr. Agbele Oba's name to remind him that he should come on board and help us at this particular point in time. If we can have good catch of our grammar, then we will be very, very fine. Bear with me. Sorry, I think the post I made about our classes was in 2023 class. Big thanks to Dekola. He's monitoring Mama. God bless him. So, your grammatical range and accuracy, very, very important to hold it to your heart. Dr. Aguiloba used to hammer on two things, but I think we will need to stretch it further when we come back to this tomorrow, please. Tomorrow, we are meeting again. And then your coherence and cohesion. I've really dwelt so much on that while we were doing our speaking, how you laying foundation, your grammatical range and accuracy are like you laying foundations for what you want to do. And your coherence and cohesion, when you have started laying the blocks, if you don't plaster them very well, so cohesion, cohesion is like a binding force. So if they are not well plastered together, they will scatter. So you need to have good catch of that. And you must achieve the task. Achieving the task means that when they ask you to talk about the impact of obesity on the economic situation of a country, or maybe they want you to write an essay about something like the impact that there are negative impacts of obesity on the health and economy of particular country. Do you agree with this? There are questions that will come like that. If you talk about the impact of obesity on that country, on the health of the people of that country, and you do not talk about the economic impact on that nation, then you have not achieved the task. So task achievement is you fulfilling the question, the intent of the question prompt. What is the prompt? What is the question you've been asked? And how do you manage to fix that? When they ask you to talk about whether maybe you should give the extent to which you agreed to something. If you say you've agreed and you are not stating the extent, you have not achieved the intent, the information they want to supply. You've not achieved the task. So there are ways to achieve your task. There are languages that will guide you, that will help you to be able to achieve your task. And vocabulary, lexical resources, very, very important. Each of these one will be scored at 25% each, because everything will come up to be 100%. So all words, like I mentioned, will be counted. I would appreciate if you could use concise words and that are strong and we convey the meaning of the information you want to pass, other than to use long words that will waste your time while you are writing them and will still not help you to achieve your target. That is that. Then you must be able to use different type of words, different types of sentences, different types of you must know when it is past, when it is present, when it is continuous. You must be able to bring all these things together. It's a good mix of all these ones that will help you to achieve your good and perfect score. Now, you must actually do a good introduction of your topic, the topic you've been supplied to write on. Before we do that, I will talk about the types of essays you may likely meet during your examination. You may be asked to write questions about opinion, in which situation you may be asked to agree or to disagree. So that's an opinion question. You may be asked to, and that could also be called argumentative essays. It's your opinion. What do you feel about it? How do you feel about it? Then you put in your opinion. In some situations, they will ask the question straight away. In some situations, they will not ask the question straight away. They will just give you that question and allow you to go on into it and bring out what they desire from you. So there could be agree or disagree question to attack under opinion situations. Or they may ask you, to what extent do you agree, like the one I said the other time. If they're asking you at this time or at any point, to what extent do you agree, you must let them know whether you partially agree or whether you completely agree. So you must be able to use such adjective to qualify whatsoever you are saying. So in that situation, if they ask you, to what extent do you agree that obesity is a big problem to the economy of a country, you must be able to tell them whether I completely agreed that obesity is a terrible economic enemy. Sorry, my kata is coming up. You must be able to tell them that. Or you may say, oh, well, some people might view obesity as an harm to the health of people in the country, but I believe that obesity has its own advantages. So you mustn't necessarily go with the flow of that question. Like, if the question say, do you agree? You don't necessarily need to say you agree. You may say you disagree. And in that situation, if it is asking you for an extent, languages like totally, languages like completely could help you, or partially could help you to state your position on how much of agreement. I'm sorry. And it's my nose. On how much of agreement you are giving to whatsoever you are writing. If you don't use the word like completely, you don't use the word like partially, you don't use like I strongly disagree, I completely disagree, then, or I somehow agree, I somewhat disagree. If you don't use such words, you will not achieve the task. And if you don't achieve the task, your score may not be more than 6.5. That is if you have done brilliantly in all the other portions of your essay. If you pay close attention and write your essays and we correct after we've done our classes, then you'll be fine. Then you can have another type, which is discussion of two opposing opinions. They may give you two opinions and they may ask you to discuss on them. Like something like, some people think that the best way to reduce alcohol consumption is to increase tax on alcohol or on it. You may not want to repeat alcohol again. You may just use it is now talking about that alcohol. And others, however, believe there are better alternative ways to reduce it. So some group of people feel that if you want to reduce alcohol consumption, you should increase the tax on alcoholism, on alcohol, on each drinks that people are buying at the supermarket or at the restaurant or in clubhouses. Some other people do not have this particular opinion. They think there are other ways that are better that you can use to checkmate people from taking alcohol. That is what some people think. So they are now asking you, discuss both views. So you now have to talk about the portion of people that think that increasing tax on alcoholic drinks is the best way to curtail consumption of alcohol among the people. You talk about that. That's one portion. And you now come again to talk about those ones that feel there are alternatives, there are better ways, there are other means, there are other solutions to curtailing, to preventing people from engaging in alcoholism. You are to talk about those ones, those two. If you now talk about tax alone and you don't talk about another point of view, that person will not achieve the task and the person's scores will suffer. It's very, very important. If you can hear me, can I see likes? Can you give me a thumbs up so that I'm sure that I'm speaking to my people? Either you put a thumbs up, either you put some messages in the chat. So I'm sure that we are together. Okay. I'm not sure if people are responding. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, yeah, you should be able to talk about those times, about both sides. And now, because you have now your opinion, you will give your opinion. You have three things to do here. So in such situations, you are very much likely to have your introduction, the first part that is talking about agreeing with VAT, with taxes. Sorry, I'm saying VAT because words like value added tax, they used to come up on virtually all the receipts that we print here. VAT, that's why I'm saying VAT. So you talk about tax. After your introduction, you talk about the part that is saying tax. You talk about the other people that are saying tax is not necessary. Why you can do it that way, and then come and give your opinion. You now have 4 paragraphs. Then you now draw your conclusion. Hello, darling. You are to go back, darling. You're not allowed here. You should go and play with sister, okay? No, you can't say no. I will not allow you to watch Peppa Pig if you don't go upstairs. Alright, all right, sir. Yeah, we do that. We do that, Uncle Chris. So, in fact, I forgot what I wanted to do. Maybe because I came late. I was engaged on phone for a very long time by someone. I was to come by 5 p.m. So I felt we will start with vocabulary and do the first 15 minutes for vocabulary. Then we now go to our training. So, but pardon me, we're coming back to all those things all together. Sorry, my nose is still blocked. So at some point, I will be giving pauses. So you have to put it that way. You have to say it. You have to introduce. And when you are introducing your topic, like in speaking, how do I say you will come with your introduction? What will you do? What is that special thing you will do when you are to introduce your question, to respond to the question? The first paragraph, what is that thing that is essential that you must do? Please type. What is that thing that is essential that you must do when you want to start answering your question? To the question prompt, what must you do to it when you are responding to your question? You have people in the house. I don't want to be mentioning names. I don't want to be mentioning names. Please just respond, type in what is that thing that is essential that you must do when you want to start writing your essay. To the question prompt, how will you deal with the question prompt as you are beginning to write your introduction? Same thing that you will do to it when you are doing your speaking. And I guess that was what we first worked on when we came to the class. What is it? I mean, when we started our speaking. Nobody remembers. Nobody remembers. Thank you. Thank you very much, sister or brother B. That should be a woman's name. That's Sister Bio. You must actually paraphrase. So you must do that. You will still do that too in your IELTS writing. In fact, researchers feel, or language owners feel, that your writing is a reflection of your speaking, or your speaking is a reflection of your writing. So you must paraphrase. And we do encourage people to go with something like 35 to 50 words to paraphrase, depending on the length. Don't skip paraphrasing without looking back. You should be able to learn how to by the time we do 2 or 3 paraphrases, you should be able to write a beautiful one at any point in time and do it as brilliantly as possible. So that is that about that type of question. You may have advantages and disadvantages questions. You know, we talked about opinion questions, and then we talked about when you are dealing with opinion questions, we talk about agree and disagree. These are different from advantages and disadvantages. So please, so your opinion questions are different from advantages and disadvantages questions in a way, especially when they now ask you to fall into whether it is complete or incomplete. And something like, you can have this, that it is common these days for people to work from home. Do the dangers of home working exceed that of working in the office? So in this situation, you are to deal with the advantages, deal with the disadvantages, tell us whether one exceed the other. You must at least have 4 paragraphs when you are writing your task 2 essay, whichever way you want to do it. And there's something that is very, very important, that if you don't do it, the possibility of having band 7 is very slim. In my 4 years of actively training IELTS, I've only seen one person who missed out their conclusion that still scored band 7. And when I say someone is a power woman, that woman is a power woman. Like, this is someone who would score 8.5 in reading, and she's a matron. She's not a baby. So nobody here have any excuse. Nobody's got any excuse around us too. Hello, darling.
Mommy.
Yes.
I go upstairs with my Annie, Jasper, and Lala.
Okay, go upstairs again. Hug Annie.
Alright, I hug Annie and Jasper and Lala.
I'm sorry. So I've only seen one person, so it is very much advisable. Even if you're not going to, if you are struggling in your 3rd paragraph and you don't know what to, please leave some spaces. Leave some spaces, go and write your conclusion, because that is important. Task 1, academic, does not have conclusion. I'm sure you remember that. Those who have listened, who were in class when Tunde taught them, or those who were not there but tried to watch the upload that I did, would actually know that there is no conclusion in academic task 1. But in task 2, which is for both general and academic training, you are answering the same question. In task 2, you must draw a conclusion. So you must be able to tell them that I believe from all that I've stated that working from home is much helpful to people in the society because it helps them to save costs, it reduce carbon emission and all that, and all, whatever the point you want to give. It reduces carbon emission, which in essence at the end of the day reduces the rate of environmental pollution and help the people in the environment to be in good health. That's your conclusion. So you have stated here that you support home working, and now it is important that you also know that there could be essays that may be causes, and so there could be cause and solution or cause and effect essay. Something occurs and gives and makes something happen. Now, they will not bring in politics. So we will now say that they will not bring in. I used to say this to our people. There are some questions that don't normally come out that I've never even come around in Ielts. Things bordering on abortion, things bordering on terrorism, things bordering on politics, things that could fuel trouble in the society. You will not even see it in any IELTS question. They would rather ask you things that are happening on day-to-day basis. So I'm struggling not to use the example that I want to use because I'm trying to say maybe because someone was elected and the economy of a particular nation actually nosedived, or the country's economy went on autopilot. You know the country I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention any country. So, but they may actually ask you that you should discuss about obesity as the main cause of early death in maybe children of wealthy parents. So in this situation, you have obesity, which they think is the cause, and early death, which is the effect. And they will now ask you, what are the ways to curb obesity in children of wealthy parents? So you have to deal with all those ones, deal with the causes, deal with the problems. What is the cause? The obesity. I mean, what happened is the problem, which is death. Cause is obesity. Then what solutions would you like to proffer? You should be able to speak on those three areas. I mean, to write on those three areas. That is when you have the causes and solutions, or causes, effects, and solutions as another type of task 2 essay. If you know all these things and you can actually pull in your efforts, then you will be very fine. You can actually also have problems and solutions type of questions as the 5th one. You could have a mix of all those ones. Have a things saying questions talking about the problem and question asking you just about the solutions. And you can have question that is asking you about the cause, the problem, and the solution that must be brought into it. You should address each of these ones at every stage of your essay. If you're able to put in these ones, you should be very fine. And I would say, don't at any point in time copy the questions verbatim. That is the essence of your paraphrasing. You should paraphrase using synonyms, paraphrase using words that are closer in meaning, paraphrase using words that you can change their forms. Paraphrase in using mixture of those ones, just like we discussed in our speaking. If you can do this, you will be very fine. Now, before we go, someone had asked me that I should please talk about how people can deal with spelling words correctly. This comes with practice, and that is why you must not be too far from your dictionary at this point in time. There are words that do confuse people, especially those of us who are highly accented. If you are like that, like the way I just said accented, some people will say accent. And if you were to be speaking about, you are writing essay about, maybe they give you an essay that people who grew up with their grandparents have heavy accents than people who grew up with their modern day parents. To what extent do you agree? You have that. If you are someone who is struggling with pronunciation and in your head you saw accent, but in your head what is coming on to your mouth, because most of us in one way or the other are vocalizing whatsoever we want to write inside our head and inside our throat, and someone who should say accent, who should write accent, now write accent. You know there's something that is accent to, ASSENT, and so it will change the whole meaning. So that is why, besides having good grasp of words, pronunciation, you should actually have meanings, know the meaning of words. If you are good with meaning of words, you may not really struggle too much with your writing, but if you don't know meaning, it's going to be a big struggle. Also, people who do swallow the last consonants, if you are one of those ones who do swallow last consonant, I know people who, I don't know why that do happen. There are some people, no matter how pluralized the words are, if they are ending in if those words are ending in s, they will never pronounce the s. Now let's assume someone is now writing about students, and there are places where the person needs to put, because the person is swallowing the s and is now putting two students and putting three undergraduates instead of three undergraduates, two students, and assuming those words occur in that essay about 4 or 5 times, you know how, and because each of those words that you miss, they will be scoring that person down. It will be very difficult for the person. So I don't know if we should do dictation, if that's what you want, or if you will be happy when we start our vocabulary drills. That could help too, because in our vocabulary drills, what we do is to write down. When we write down, then we are able to, you'll be able to know. And another thing, we'll be able to correct those things. Another thing we used to do in those days too is for people to write in papers, then snap it and send it to the group, and not write on phone, or laptop. Why did we say people should write on papers in those days? There is possibility of when you are typing on your phone, if you have autocorrect or whatsoever, they will be bringing you different when you make mistake, they will bring you the correct words, and there's every tendency that people who are clicking on the correct auto corrections or correct words as that's been automatically generated, there's every possibility that they may struggle with spellings if they've not been very good with spellings. Another thing I want to say about the spelling is, if you are someone who writes shorthands in these days of short messages, SMS, short message services, and all those things, if you are someone who is so much used to that, sometimes it used to be strange to me, and for people to write to me on WhatsApp in shorthands, I used to see it as indolence, laxity, laziness. But these days, because it's the generation of no grief for anybody that we are, if we correct them once or twice, then we become mother witch or witchcraft. They will not even see us as witch alone. Then we become the witchcraft gaga of their grandfather's house. So we left them now. We are not no longer correcting them. But if such person is here now and want to write IELTS, and you have been used to writing TNX instead of writing THANKS, it's going to show at this point in time. So you may want to go and do a sit back and erase some things, like unlearn some things for the sake of your 264,000. How much is that ETS in Nigeria, please? The Ghanaians in the house, how much are you guys paying for IELTS? My sister from Cameroon, my sister from East Africa, how much are you guys paying for your English test? For the sake of whatsoever the cost, to me, I think in Nigeria, there are some remote places that you can still buy a plot of land for 264,000. If you now go and use a plot of land to play chess because of not doing it correctly, thanks, bless you. Some people will just write BLS. They will write you instead of YOU. They will write you, just like that, like you for umbrella. If that is you, this is just the time, please, to just change. Otherwise, it's going to be tough. Do we have questions? Please let me know if we have questions, because I still want to briefly deal with how we can do our introduction. Do we have questions, please? Questions, 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 questions. No questions. If we don't have questions, are we happy to go out and come back into it? Why do I want to do it? I want to discuss introduction to our task 2 essay, and I don't want a situation where our recording will be too long that people will not be able to follow when they are trying to listen on their own. Is it all right if we go out and come back in, or do we just want to continue this way? Your instruction is my order now. Please type in what do you want us to do, to go back and come in, or to just keep at it this way. How so? Is anybody responding? Okay, 187,000 francs. That's for Cameroon. Okay. All right, thank you. Chief. This chief is writing shorthand. Don't write in shorthand again, please. God will help us. So let's go out quickly and come back. I'll bring us another link.